Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about resting membrane potential. So resting membrane potential is the electrical potential difference across the cell membrane when the cell is at rest, not firing an action potential. So the typical value of this resting membrane potential in neurons is minus 70 millivolt. So why the resting membrane potential is negative, we have to know. There are certain factors which are contributing to this. The first thing is sodium potassium ATPase pump. Next is potassium leaky channels. Next is sodium leaky channels and anionic proteins which are negatively charged, which are trapped inside the cell. So these all add to the negativity inside the cell. So let us see in a diagram. So we know the first we have to know about the concentration gradients of the ions. Sodium chloride and calcium, these are more extracellularly than intracellularly. So these move along the concentration gradient, that is from outside to inside. So these move inward, whereas potassium is present more intracellularly than extracellularly. So it follows the concentration gradient, so it moves outwards from the cell. So let us see this in a diagram. So we know sodium is present more outside normally and potassium is present more inside the cell normally. So the leaky sodium channels, these follow the concentration gradient, so they move inside the cell, and the leaky potassium channels, they follow the concentration gradient, so they move outside from the cell. So and the third thing is a sodium potassium ATPase pump. So we know these are moving against the concentration gradient, because the sodium is moving inward and the potassium is moving outward. This is against the concentration gradient, so these use ATP. So 2 sodium is coming inside and 3 potassium is going outside. And next, fourth factor is the anionic proteins which are negatively charged, trapped inside the cell. So let us do a complete value of this. Sodium potassium ATPase pump, 2 sodium inside, 3 potassium outside. So we give 2 plus and 3 plus inside and outside. Sodium leaky channels, these are moving inside along the concentration gradient, so we give 1 plus to the inside. And potassium leaky channels, they are moving outside, so 1 plus to the outside. And anionic proteins, these are trapped inside, so these are negatively charged, so we give minus to the inside. So adding all of this, inside we will get 2 plus 1 plus minus, that is 2 plus, and outside 3 plus rest all is 0, so 4 plus. Anionic proteins are way more negative than these, so just we are doing a calculation based on this. Less positive, so we will get to know it is less positive inside, that is because 2 plus inside and 4 plus outside, so it is less positive inside or more negative inside compared to the outside. That's why resting membrane potential is negative. So this is an easy concept. Next is Nernst equation. It calculates the equilibrium potential for a specific ion across a membrane. This is the voltage at which there is no net movement of that ion, because the electrical force balances the chemical gradient. So let us see the equation. For any ion, the equilibrium potential of an ion is equal to R into T by Z into F multiplied by ionic concentration outside by ionic concentration inside. So E is equilibrium potential of the ion, R is universal gas constant, T is temperature, absolute temperature in Kelvin, and V is valency charge of the ion, and F is Faraday constant. So if we take the room temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade or 310 Kelvin at body temperature, the concentration of an ion is equal to 61 by Z log 10 ionic concentration outside by ionic concentration inside. So potassium outside is, let us calculate for the potassium. Potassium outside is 4, potassium inside is 140, because it is more inside, and the valency is plus 1. So the ionic concentration of potassium is equal to 61 by Z. Z is equal to plus 1 log 10 by 4 by 140. Outside by inside, 61 by 1 log 10 of 0.02857. It gives rise to 61 by 1 into minus 1.544, nearly equal to minus 94.2. So it is negative. So if the membrane potential of an ion is if the membrane potential of the ion is equal to the equilibrium potential of the ion, there is no net movement of that ion. If the membrane potential is different from the equilibrium potential, then the ion will move to reach its equilibrium. So if we know the resting membrane potential is minus 70 of the neuron. So the potassium equilibrium potential is minus 90. So it will leak out slowly to reach the equilibrium potential, because it will lose its ions to reach the resting membrane potential. Next, that is to reach its own equilibrium potential. So because the resting membrane potential is minus 70, still it have to lose its positive charge to reach the minus 90 level. Next is if the resting membrane potential is minus 90, that is almost equal to the potassium equilibrium potential, then there is no net movement because it is equalized. When the resting membrane potential is more negative than the potassium, that is if it is equal to minus 100, so then it will move inside the cell in order to make so it will gain more positive charge, so it will become minus 100 to minus 90, so it will become less negative or more positive. So this is resting membrane potential. So the main things which are adding up to the negatively charged resting membrane potential is sodium potassium ATPase pump, potassium leaky channels, sodium leaky channels, and anionic proteins which are trapped inside the cell. So this is resting